Welcome to Midweek Meditation. Yesterday, last week, Ilana, who I don't see her in today, but she was here last week, she recognized that we do this timing around, oops, let me just see. Okay. We do this around the time of Mincha, the afternoon service. And so it hadn't occurred to me, but I'm glad to include that in some of our intentionality, is that this is a traditional time of setting aside. It's the shortest prayer service that we have. It's like 15 minutes. We set aside a little bit of time in the afternoon to be grateful. That's pretty much what it's about. And so it seems to fit very well with having an afternoon meditation. So welcome to Midweek and Mincha meditation. My name is Wendie, and I know there's a few people here that I don't recognize, so welcome. And I know there's people that watch this on the live stream or watch it in the recording, and I don't know you, so welcome, and welcome to all of you that I know. And we're in week 23 of doing this meditation, and kind of circling back. I'm feeling an energy of circling back. I do want to recognize that I live in Redwood City, and the historical inhabitants of this land were the Lamshan tribelet of the, I went to a speaker and I've been saying it wrong. It's not the Ramaytush people, it's the Ramaytush people. And his father was the only living descendant of the Ramaytush people. And so that was a really interesting talk that I went to, and to learn about the native people of this area. And if you're new, or even if you're not new and you want to put into the chat where you're coming from, I'll look at it later. So today we are in Sukkot. We finished up the quite full time of the holiday season with Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And Sukkot has its own energy, even though it's attached. It's kind of the trailing off of that time of the high holy days. It has, if you're in North America or the Mideast, you recognize the seasonality of these harvest. It's a harvest festival. It's one of the 3 original pilgrimage harvest festivals, where the people would go gather up their harvests, bring a percentage of it. So the priests would live off of that. And they would also use it as an offering of gratitude for the harvest. And so Sukkot was, before there was something that looked anything like a religion that we understand it, Sukkot was a gathering festival of people and a recognition of the last harvest, and entering into the rainy season. Prayers change. There's an additional, or there's a change in a prayer that we actually are praying for rain in the liturgy, because we recognize the need for rain, and that we're coming into this time of shortening days and colder weather and fall and transitions. If you're in North America, you understand that. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, I should say, you understand that. We have a couple people that come from the Southern Hemisphere, and it's the reverse, but that's the historical underpinnings of Sukkot. And one of the things that we do is we invite guests to come and sit and share food in a sukkah. And the sukkah is, by its nature, temporary. You have to be able to see stars through it. It has to be something that will not withstand long time. And so one of the spiritual underpinnings of Sukkot is vulnerability, and the recognition that things are temporary. And so it's this combination of harvesting the fruits of what we've been looking at what we've been gathering, what we've been tending, and the other side, which is we're moving into vulnerability of the winter season and the recognition of vulnerability within ourselves. So I guess and then Simchat Torah starts in a couple of days, and that's the beginning of the Torah cycle. So we end and we start all on the same day. So there's this ending and beginning thread that we're in right now. And so I wanted to go back to the beginning 23 weeks ago. Where did we start? We started with a simple breath meditation, and a little bit later we had a body meditation. So I'm going to take us back to that simple breath meditation, and then a little bit of body scan. Won't look exactly like that because it'll be whatever it is today, but that's what we're returning to. And I also wanted to share with you this wonderful poem by David Whyte, who, if you're not familiar, I will put it on my email list. I will send it out. So if you're not on my email list, go to wendielash.com and you'll get a copy of this poem. I'll send it out either today or tomorrow. And I listened to him read it today because he writes the poem, but when he reads it in person, he sometimes emphasizes certain lines. So I'm going to read it the way that David Whyte read it in this YouTube that I saw online. He has this lovely Irish voice. If you ever get a chance to listen to him or do something with him, he does a lot of online work as well. So it's called Start Close In, and it seems to hold the intention that I'd like us to have today of, starting in those basics and coming back to ourselves. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing close in, the step you don't want to take. Start with the ground you know, the pale ground beneath your feet, your own way to begin the conversation. Start with your own question, with your own question. Give up on other people's questions. Don't let them smother something simple. To hear another's voice, follow your own voice. Wait until that voice becomes a private ear that can really listen, to another. Start right now. Take a small step you can call your own. Don't follow someone else's heroics. Be humble and focused. Start close in. Start close in. Don't mistake that other for your own. Don't mistake that other for your own. Start close in. Don't take the second step or the third. Start with the first thing close in, the step you don't want to take. So I'll let that sink in for you. And the chant that I'm going to use to move us into our meditation, I thought starting close in, starting with the first step, starting with the basics, let's do something without words. So I'll do a nigun, and the nigun wordless melody. I'm actually going to use an Ashrei chant. Ashrei is the liturgy of the afternoon. As I said, we're in afternoon in that Mincha time. So you may be familiar with the tune, and it's about dwelling in the divine place. And happy are those who dwell in your house. May they always praise. So that we can take that intention in, and then I'll move us into meditation and bring us out with the singing bowl. Yadai, 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 Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yadai, dai. Yadai, dai. Yadai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. Yai, dai, 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 dai. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes, you can close them or softly gaze away at a spot on the floor or someplace that will allow you to move your focus internally instead of into external stimulus. And noticing the breath in the body. Noticing how the chest expands and the belly opens as we receive breath, and how when we release the breath, the chest softens, the shoulders come down, the belly caves in a little. Breathing in that rhythm of life that connects you to all that you are a part of, all. Feeling that connection in the cycle of receiving and letting go. All of existence is that simple cycle of receiving and letting go. Things that come to us and things that leave us. Experience that arrives and experience that trails away. So feeling yourself in that flow, in that shefa of the flow of life. And we notice the soft front of the back, the pliability and the vulnerability of the heart area, of the belly, And as we sit up nice and tall and root the sits bones down into where you're sitting, we notice the strength of the back. So we hold this paradox, and our breath holds it with us, of receiving and being vulnerable and being strong and sturdy, both at the same time. Soft front, strong back. And focusing on your breath. As you breathe in, notice how the breath enters your body, fills up your lungs. And as you exhale, notice how the breath exits the body, how your lungs and ribs and diaphragm contract. Follow your breath in and out, a full cycle from the beginning of the inhale to its end, and then from the beginning of the exhale to its end. And on the next breath cycle, also notice the stillness of the point where the exhale has not started, but the inhale is done. That place of nothingness, of quietude. And maybe as you put your attention on it, it might expand a little bit and fill you up with a bit more quiet, stillness. Calm. And so we'll take a few minutes to be with the breath. Maybe another 5 minutes to allow you to be with each breath, each inhale and each exhale, and that point in between. And as you notice the mind wandering off, you can just notice that and then gently return to focusing on your breath, on the fullness of the inhale, the point of no inhale and no exhale, and the fullness of the exhale. If it's helpful, you can say in your mind, breathing in and breathing out. And I'll bring us back with a wake up bell, a quiet bell, to move to deepening more into the body and our experience in the body. So we'll add on, if you want to stay with the sweet simpleness of the breath, feel free. I'm going to invite us to bring in a little bit more of the body, hopefully much more of the body. And I invite you first to notice your feet. And if they're on the ground, notice the pressure on the bottom of your feet. If you don't have them on the ground, if you've got them crossed or something, I invite you to uncross your ankles and put your feet so that they're flat. They're most likely in shoes. That's fine. You can feel the pressure of the ground through your shoe. And it's a pressure that goes both ways. There is a pushing down and a pushing back. We can imagine and maybe even feel the energy that flows from the feet through the shoes into the ground, and the energy of the aliveness of the earth that flows back in the opposite direction, up through the feet and into the body. So similar to the breath cycle, we are in a cycle of energetic flow, life force that connects outward to other life, and life force from other life that connects back to us. And so when we pay attention to that, you might feel some tingling in the feet, or just notice some movement of the molecules. We can actually draw up the energy from the earth at the same time that it's flowing back, but feeling it enliven our feet and our ankles, and breathing into those places, thinking about the breath naturally flowing around the body to the feet and the ankles and the calves and the shins. And as you breathe and you become aware of each place in the body, noticing if there's any awareness of something that feels positive, something that feels negative, a pain or coldness or tightness, and also the sense of places in your body that are neutral. So just becoming aware of all the different sensations that are in us at any one time, starting close in with the body, befriending and bringing closer our sense of who we are as an embodied soul. And noticing as we continue to breathe, noticing the knees, the front of the knees and the kneecaps, the backs of the knees, where the body folds in. Breathing and noticing the bones in the thighs and the muscles the skin, the pressure of the chair on the backs of thighs, or the pressure behind the kneecap of behind the knee, where the body folds in on itself. And if there's a particular place of tightness or discomfort, sending the breath there on an inhale, and on an exhale, inviting the body to simply rest and release. Breathing into and noticing the pelvic area, the hips. What is their experience and sensation today? How are you feeling in this part of your body? And as we come up a little bit more, breathing into the bottom of the belly. And as we exhale, thinking about the internal organs on the lower half of the body, our digestive system and our hormonal system, all those internal organs that we massage with each breath, that work without us thinking about them, noticing and honoring them, having gratitude for our bodies, noticing anything that wants a little extra attention. As we breathe into the back or the front of the body, noticing the difference in the back and the front of the body, and in the middle. And coming up a little bit higher as we take a big breath in and exhale. It's that diaphragm, that wonderful muscle that allows the breath, that brings the breath in and pushes the stale air out. And just above that, we breathe into the lungs and the rib cage, more internal organs. Noticing these micro zones in the body that each do something wonderful. Again, noticing the front of the body, the back of the body, the middle of the body. And as we breathe in, we come up a little bit higher, noticing the tops of the lungs, the tops of the rib cage, the heart. Sending the breath towards the heart in the center of the chest. Noticing with curiosity, how is your heart today in this moment? And as we come up a little bit higher, we notice the shoulder blades and the collarbone, that strong area, but also the area that holds so much weight of the world and tension. Breathing into anywhere that feels tight and inviting it to rest just a little bit more as you let go. Doing that as much as you need to. Noticing the muscles under the shoulder blades, the joint, the shoulder, the arm joint. And now we pay attention to the arms, the bones and the muscles and the skin in the upper arm. Breathing into the elbow, the point of the elbow on one side, the crease of the elbow on the other side. And breathing into the forearms, the bones, the muscles, the skin, the space between the forearm bones. Paying attention to the wrist. So many ways that it moves that allows us to interact. That allows the hands, as we breathe into the hands, feeling the back of the hands and the palm of the hands. Noticing all of the bones in each finger, each place where there's a fold, each knuckle, each finger. The unique fingerprints that are part of who we are. And as we send the energy of the breath up into the shoulders and the back, upper back and the neck, we breathe into the neck and we breathe out and notice any sensations here or anywhere else in the body. Each vertebrae allowing us to move to express. And we move to the head, the chin, the tongue, inside of the mouth and the teeth, the back of the throat, the lips. Noticing the ears, both the inner ear that hears and the outer ear that helps channel noise. Noticing the skin of the face, the nose, the nostrils, the eyelids and the eyes, the forehead, the hair, noticing the scalp and the skull, feeling the skin and the bones. And imagining, envisioning the brain protected inside the skull. The mystery of thought and feelings and experiences. That makes sense of smell and touch and sight and sound and taste. That wonder that is sitting in each of our heads. As we take a last breath, feeling the body in its totality. So many unique places, so many experiences in the one that is you, that is part of the greater one that we are all part of. So as we leave those in the live stream or who are watching this on the recording, the divine in each one of us is saluted by the divine in every other one of us, that we are all that spark of the divine, made in the image of Yah, the one. And we'd say, B'Tselem Yah.